Omar Trinidad versus Mike Plania. 10 rounds in the 126-pound division. This is taking place January 17th. Let's get into it. Let's start with their respective records. Trinidad, 17 wins, no losses, 1 draw, 13 wins by way of knockout. Plania, 31 wins, 4 losses, and 18 wins by way of knockout. Now, I'm more familiar with Mike Plania than I am with Trinidad, right? Trinidad is coming into this one with the height advantage, the reach advantage. Trinidad, from the fights that I've seen, the fights that I've watched, he's got that brawler type of style, man. He's got that fan-friendly, exciting type of style. The style that makes you want to go to fights and see a lot of punches being thrown. He's not going to dodge a firefight, man. He's going to fight fire with fire. He's aggressive. He throws a whole lot of punches. He's got good power in his shots. This is what he's about, man. He wears you down, right? Like, he breaks you down with volume and constant pressure. I think he's a very good inside fighter. He does a great job of mixing up his attacks, especially from when he's in close. He'll go to uppercuts. He'll use hooks. He'll hook to the head, then go back down to the body, uppercut to the body, uppercut to the head, man. He has a good variety in his tool set, and he puts together pretty good combinations. Again, this is a guy who is not wary of throwing punches. He's a risk taker. This is what he's going to do. Now, defensively, he's there to get hit, right? Like, he's not hard to find by no means. Trinidad does not run from a fight. Now, he might move his head back and he might pull his head back to avoid some of the hits, but for the most part, he's not shying away from you. He's not shying away from the fight. He'll be there and he'll definitely take that risk. And at some point, like, that could be his Achilles heel if he's up against the right person and a great counterpuncher. But to this point so far, he's been able to get away with it, right? But he's a confident fighter, man. Like, you don't get that confident and you don't believe in yourself like that to just come forward and not worry about what's coming at you. It takes a level of confidence and belief to be able to do that, to say, I believe in my power more than I do in what you're firing back at me. So we know the confidence is high. The belief is high in his most recent fight. And he showed, at least to me, that he could box a little bit in that fight, man. He was moving laterally early, going to the jab, and not staying stagnant in one spot. He was moving laterally, using the jab, going back to the jab, trying to set up that shot. He was trying to feint and bait Sosa into coming in, because he wants to fire that hard power punch, right? Whether it's the right hand or the left hand, he gonna throw that sucker, especially when his opponent is in close. Now, going back defensively, there were some times in that fight where Sosa feinted with the right hand and came over with the left hand, and it caught him straight on the chin, So sometimes Trinidad swings wide and doesn't pull back quickly enough defensively to cover up, and he leaves himself open to being countered, right? Like, Plania has that type of explosiveness where he could make Trinidad pay if he can catch it and time it correctly. But Trinidad can also take a shot, right? At least from what we've seen so far. The man's got a pretty good chin. Got a lot of heart, got a lot of will. There's no denying that one bit, I also saw him slipping shots a little bit against Sosa as well, too. So, it kind of goes to tell you, like, he can be a decent defensive fighter if he makes it a priority. So he can slip and move and put back good counters. It was a good, solid fight against Hector Sosa, and he would end up going to get the unanimous decision victory. Now, he did drop Sosa in that fight as well, too. But I also think, it was a 12-round fight, and it was one of those fights where a young fighter, and I mean young in the sense of not too many fights, because in this fight, Plania is actually the younger fighter, even though he has more fights. But when you have a younger fighter who does not have a lot of rounds per se, you want it to go the distance so you can see how they fare in those championship rounds. And I thought Trinidad did a very good job of distributing his energy intentionally and correctly. He did not really sway too far from his output as the fight went on, man. So I thought it was a very good fight, and I like this young man. I think there are flaws. No fighter is perfect, but I like what he can do. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he will respond against possibly, his toughest test yet. Because Mike Plania, he's a tested fighter, right? His losses have came against guys who have been champions and guys who are tops in the division. So he's been battle tested. He's explosive. He's quick. And he's got good power in his shots, man. Now, again, like Plania, as I said, he's the veteran in this one. He's the one who has the more experience. He's the one that has fought the tougher competition. When he fought Elijah Pierce, man, he took the fight to Elijah Pierce. He had Pierce buzzed a couple times in that fight. The thing with Plania is he does not need a whole lot of space and room to really maneuver and to get his shots off. Of course, he has to get close, but if you give him that mid-distance range, man, like he can pounce in and pounce out very quickly and smoothly as well, too. And he's also a guy who's not afraid to take risk as well, too. I remember when he fought Riaz Aleem, he was very hesitant that fight, right? He tried to beat Aleem at his own game, tried to be patient and tried to be selective with his shots. And Aleem made him pay. But when he fought Elijah Pierce, you saw a more aggressive version of Mike Plania. And to some extent, like it was working. Right? It was working until Pierce started going to the body. And that is when those big shots started to open up. Right? I think it was in the third round where Elijah Pierce caught him with the left to the body. It wasn't a heavy body shot, but it was enough to make him think about the body shot and not cover up. And Pierce came through with that left straight hand and dropped him. And it was over with. Now, going back to Plania's fight against Angelo Leo, he did the same thing, right? He started out much more aggressively than he did in his previous fight. So much aggressively like he did in his fight against Elijah Pierce. But Angelo Leo had an answer for it, right? Leo was patient and he got behind his jab and he was biding his time until the right opening was there. But then Leo started going to the body very early. Every time that Angelo Leo was coming in, it was either to the head, but it was always to the body. So he'd go to the head once or twice, but he'd always finish with a body shot. And it got to a point where you could see it was doing an effective damage against Mike Plania because the volume and the aggression that he was coming with in the first two rounds started to slow down a little bit. The output wasn't as high, and he was a much more defensive, and he was backing up a little bit more. Because those body shots, man, those shots to the liver, those shots to the sternum, that's going to take anybody out. You cannot keep taking those shots over and over again. It's going to wear you out. I thought it was an excellent game plan from Angelo Leo, right? And eventually, man, he got caught with a body shot. Plania did. Beautifully timed body shot from Angelo Leo. It was like a counter body shot, and it was a shot that you could see that Mike Plania immediately when he felt it to the left side, he just went down and you could see he wasn't going to get up from that. It was not going to be pretty if he would have got up because he would have got hit with another body shot. But there's no shame in being stopped by a body shot, man. Like that stuff, we're humans. You know what I'm saying? That stuff is going to do what it's going to do. So since then, Mike Plania, he's fought twice. He's got back into his winning streak. He's fought two guys against opponents he's supposed to win, get back into the positive side of things. So I think this is going to be a very good matchup, man. I think it's going to show us if Trinidad is who he thinks that he is, or if Mike Plania still has a little bit more fight left in him. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Signup Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/thebreakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. You know, I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos and videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. I think this could be a close fight, man. Plania, as I said, is the younger man, but he's actually the veteran because he's got more rounds and he's got more fights in his repertoire, in his resume, you know. But the volume of Trinidad, I think it can be a lot and pose a problem for Mike Plania. I'm not sure the answer for Mike Plania in this one is to be more aggressive like he did in his previous 2 fights against the guys that he did lose against. Maybe he's a little bit more patient this one, but at the same time, Trinidad might not allow him to be patient and might force him to fight fire with fire and fight his type of style. Plania doesn't need a lot of space, yes, but he does need that little mid-distance range a little bit where he can lunge in and load up on his shots. But it also could be one of those situations where Trinidad makes it so rough and grueling and tight and in close that it smothers Mike Plania on the inside as well too and suffocates him from really getting his shots off. So the game plan could be many different ways. The variables could go many different ways, but I do like this fight, man. I don't think the odds should be crazy in this one. I think it should be closer than what the odds might say because Trinidad, to this point, like, this is going to be his toughest test, you know, and we'll see if he can pass this test. But I like Trinidad to win this fight by stoppage, man. I just think the volume is going to cause Plania problems, and I think he's going to get sucked into fighting a fight that he should not fight. And that firefight, close range fight, I don't think that's his particularly style of fight that has worked in his favor. He tried it against Angelo Leo, didn't work. He tried it against Elijah Pierce, didn't work. So it's going to be interesting to see what the game plan is for him. I think Trinidad's going to go to the body. Trinidad's a pretty good body puncher, man. He's vicious with his intentions and his shots. And as long as he does not pull back too often and doesn't become too predictable and keeps throwing as his defense, you know, I think he should be all right because he can overwhelm Plania with volume, and that might be able to limit some of the jumping in and out that Plania likes to do. But he's also got to be careful of those overhand shots from Plania as well too. So gonna be interesting, man, but I do like Trinidad to win this fight by stoppage. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. How do you think this one goes? Who do you have winning? Let me know in the comment section below. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.